I'll explain what it is.
Oh wait, y'all reverse. We don't reverse. I mean we do, but it's frowned upon.
Okay, let's stretch. We're in the Tao Te Ching. We're on chapter 40. So I'm going to read what it says, and then people can ask questions or offer reflections on the statements. Number 40. The returning is the movement of the Tao. The weak is the utilization of the Tao. The mired things of the world are born of being. Being is born of non-being. Commentary. That which reverses course, reflects back, or returns to its point of origin, characterizes the cyclical motions of the Tao. Because the Tao underlies everything in existence, we observe the same cyclical patterns everywhere. The weak refers to things that exhibit flexible pliancy. They characterize the Tao because the Tao drives life forward. Living things are always soft and yielding, while dead things are stiff and unyielding. This applies to the mind as well. An awareness that is in tune with the Tao is adaptable to new ways of thinking. In contrast, a mind that stubbornly clings to preconceptions and automatically rejects anything different is, in a real sense, already dead. Being can also be translated as existence. Non-being can be translated as non-existence. These lines describe how everything that has a tangible reality seems ultimately to come from nowhere. Consider a tree. It is real. It has substance. It grew from a seed, which used to be inside a fruit, which came from the parent tree. The parent tree can trace itself back in time through the same process of its own parent. When we look back like this, we quickly get to a point where the tree, the seed, the fruit, and the parent tree had no existence and existed only as pure potentialities. The same is true of us. When we trace our origin back in time, we will quickly realize that we, too, once existed as nothing more than possibilities. Thus, we must acknowledge that our being emerged from non-being. This realization is the perfect antidote to worldly attachments. Next time you find yourself unable to let go, contemplate how we all came out of nothingness and must eventually return to it. When we understand this truth, we will see that our grasping ways make no sense at all. Reflections?
I get one. I'm gonna take this time to go a little biblical, if it might be allowed. Just like the beginning of time, there was a void. There was nothing, and God created the earth, the sky, everything. And when He created man, He came from nothing, from dirt. And what is Tao getting from the Tao is, you gotta get used to and get attached to material stuff, that's meaningless, because in reality, when your time comes to meet your Maker, you came from dust, and dust you will become again. So it's like telling you, like, don't hold on to stuff that really hold no value, because you can't take it with you, like material, money. Because I see a lot of people, and speaking for experience, my mom she used to be very gentle when she was young. Until she get older, she get dementia. She started to get real hard with the money, helping the family. She used to try to. She didn't trust no bank. She used to keep the money at home, and sometimes she keep the money on her. The day she passed away, they would rip the house apart trying to find her money. But in reality, her money was on her all the time. And that gave me to think that, don't try to hold on to money and the values like cars, treasures, because none of the stuff you could take with you when you die. So the Tao is basically telling you that not to try to stop that void, just like death. It's just something stiff with no life in it. But when you're alive, you're flexible and you got life in it. Try to hold on to stuff that really matter, like your family, memories. Create memories with your family, stuff like that. Try to be nice to people, gentle, friendly, spread the gospel, whatever you may be, or share your knowledge. Because when your knowledge, when you try to keep it with you and not be selfish, it's going to die with you. What's the sense? That's why I kind of carry myself. I try to help people the best I can. share my knowledge, because I know if I'm dead and gone, my knowledge will still live on in that person. And Tao is pretty much talking about that, you know. Don't hold on to stuff you can't hold on, and just try to share what you could share. And that's what I get out of that.
Alright, so the part that stood out to me, living things are always soft and yielding, while dead things are stiff and unyielding. This applies to the mind as well. An awareness that is in tune with the Tao is adaptable to new ways of thinking. In contrast, a mind that stubbornly clings to preconceptions and automatically rejects anything different is, in a real sense, already dead. So keep your mind living, like be new, be fresh. That's one of the things that the Tao always talks about children, because they're soft, they're yielding, they're fresh, they're young, and they can learn things pretty quickly because their mind is open. But when you get older, you know that saying that they have, like, that they can't teach like old dog new tricks and all this other stuff. I mean, when your mind gets dead and you're not open to new things and trying new things, then it's pretty much saying you're already dead. So you just have to have, like, being able to change with change. You look at how technology has changed so many different things. You know, like they got the whole cab driving company, and then now they got this whole ride sharing, and then the cab drivers are pissed off. But the thing is, like, this is where the world's going. They got the post office, and now you got email, now you got text message. You know, postal workers get pissed off because then they don't make as much money. But this is where the world is heading, you know. You got martial artists who train in combat skills, and then you got, you know, they use nunchucks and sticks. Now they got guns. They got Glocks with 33 rounds. You know what I'm saying? like they don't want to accept that, but this is the reality, you know. Like, it's just, now they got like atom bombs. They got, it's just like so many different intricate ways of killing people. They got ways of poisoning people. It's just like the world changes so quick, and in order to be relevant, in order to really adapt and to become the best martial artist you can be, you need to adapt with the change, you know. So, for example, in Chicago, they had a ban on all handguns. Now, not like just a few years ago, now they said you can have concealed carry, so that's a significant change. So if you take advantage of that, now your arsenal of self-defense increases. Now you have no illegally, you know, it was illegal to have a handgun, now it's legal. You know, so things change, laws change. In the future they might say, hey, you know, you could walk around with AR-15s now. Then that will change things. Or they could just try to ban the guns again. You know, whatever the law changes, we have to be able to adapt. So sometimes you might have to use a weapon. Sometimes you handle it without a weapon. But you just have to, you know, just like fighting. Sometimes you fight, sometimes you don't fight. Like, not just physical fighting, but also verbal fighting. People always say, like, pick your battles. So sometimes it's just not worth it. Sometimes it is worth it, the fight. You have to decide that on your own. I'm not here to decide that for you. Even Martin Luther King Jr., what he did was a fight. He didn't just be like, oh, you know, let's just don't say anything. He was still protesting. He's protesting, not violently, but he's still protesting. You know, so you have to know when to fight, when to just let it go, and learn how to adapt to every situation. That's what martial arts, a big theme of it is about adapting. And Bruce Lee's talking about being like water. The Tao is saying that it's like water. Just look at how water adapts. Like, you can freeze water and it's like hard as ice. It's like ice, and then it's like hard as a rock. And then the water can be boiled, and then it can evaporate. The water can be fluid. It can be hard. You know, water is just very adaptable. So you gotta learn how to adapt. There's no more commentary on 40. We're going to go to 41. Higher people hear of the Tao, they diligently practice it. Average people hear of the Tao, they sometimes keep it and sometimes lose it. Lower people hear of the Tao, they laugh loudly at it. If they do not laugh, it would not be the Tao. Therefore, a proverb has the following. The clear Tao appears unclear. The advancing Tao appears to retreat. The smooth Tao appears uneven. High virtue appears like a valley. Great integrity appears like a disgrace. Encompassing virtue appears insufficient. Building virtue appears inactive. True substance appears inconstant. The great square has no corners. The great vessel is late in completion. The great music is imperceptible in sound. Great image has no form. The Tao is hidden and nameless, yet it is only the Tao. It excels in giving and completing everything. Commentary. Reaction to the Tao varies greatly, depending on the individual. Those who have achieved a higher level of understanding will resonate powerfully with the Tao when they encounter it. Those who are not quite there yet may not feel anything. Those who have yet to explore spiritually will simply fail to comprehend it. The lack of comprehension often expresses itself as mockery. Such individuals laugh at the Tao because they feel the need to belittle that which is too unfamiliar to grasp easily. In their case, laughing is not a sign of happiness, but an attempt to disguise ignorance as a superior attitude. Tao cultivators do not take offense at this. We understand that many people still live with the illusion of separateness. Their world is black and white, us versus them, so anything beyond their comfort zone must be an enemy of sorts. Their lives are limited, so we do not regard them with annoyance or indignation, only with compassion and goodwill. Sages liken such individuals to a frog who lives in a well, from his perspective at the bottom. The sky is rather small. If a bird were to stop by and tell it about the vast spaces outside, the frog would react with disbelief. Then, perhaps feeling a tinge of fear that it might be wrong, it would ridicule the bird to drive it away, and along with it, the sense of discomfort. The day will come when the frog grows strong enough to jump out of the well. Similarly, one day those who laugh at the Tao will gain enough spiritual maturity to venture beyond their limits. When that happens, they will see the wide open vistas for themselves, and they will know in their heart of hearts that nothing will ever be the same again. Reflection.
I had a reflection just on, several parts, but it was like people hear the Tao and they laugh. And it was a quote where like a great square has no corners or whatever. Which, when you hear something like that, it's like, that makes absolutely no sense. But if you understand like the Tao, or if you open to it, you can see the point that's trying to be made. That you see the beauty in both. Like, alright, well, the poor are rich in spirit, Well, if you don't say rich in spirit, you say, oh, well, the poor are rich. And you're like, well, if you're poor, how can they be rich? It makes no sense. So I can understand the point where people are like, well, they hear the Tao and they laugh because, like, well, it just sounds ridiculous. But if you're in tune, or if you're spiritually open to the sayings, like, I don't know what they call the phrase, koans, K-O-A-N. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. They're like phrases that make no sense.
42. Tao produces one, one produces two, two produces three, three produce myriad things backed by yin and embracing yang, achieve harmony by integrating their energy. What the people dislike are alone, bereft, and unworthy, but the rulers call themselves with these terms. So with all things appear to take loss but benefit, or receive benefit but lose. What the ancients taught, I will also teach. The violent one cannot have a natural death. I will use this as a principle of all teachings. Commentary. In this line, the Tao is the pregnant void, an infinite field of nothingness bursting with potentialities. This formless metaphysical Tao gives rise to the oneness that will eventually give rise to everything in the physical universe. One represents an embryonic universe. As such, it begins with no opposites and no polarities, and then distills into yin and yang before anything else comes into existence. These two energies become distinct from one another. Thus, the openness of the Tao gives rise to the two. The two energies began to interact. They swirled into one another, neither one able to dominate or overwhelm its counterpart. A balance emerges from their interactions with one another. This is the critical third factor: movement, circulation, and rhythm, all embodied in the dynamic balance of yin and yang. The dynamicism between yin and yang produces everything. Life mirrors this in the interplay of male and female energies, resulting in reproduction. All living things are thus rooted in yin energy, the source of life, while moving to the rhythm of the active yang principle. We are no exceptions to the above. The interaction of men and women perpetuates life and gives it meaning. This is important not only in terms of biology but spirituality as well. When we as men and women integrate the yin and yang energies, we achieve harmony and glimpse the divine nature of the Tao. Another interpretation of this integration casts it in terms of our approach to life. Rather than the interaction of the sexes, it says we should be grounded in the yin principle, humility, quietness, and tranquility, while embracing the yang principle, advancement, achievement, and progression. Commentary or reflection.
Well, my reflection in that is I'm getting is like, you have to have a balance in everything. It's like the yin and yang, you're going to have the female and the male to produce or reproduce when they come together. Just the same thing with different things you do in life, or even when you're sparring, you're in contact, you're going to get all these different emotions. You're going to have fear, anger, even you're going to be scared. All those feelings, basically, there's no perfect martial art that don't go through those feelings. And to me, you have to have a balance. You got to know how to conquer those fears or conquer those feelings. You can't have one without the other. Just like in a relationship, if both of you guys are positive, it basically, I don't think it will work. You got to have a negative and a positive, because when somebody is like down, always depressed, the positive come in and injecting with life and movement. Same thing when the other person is too hyper, the person that's down kind of calm the person. So you got to have balance. Two aggressive people in a relationship will never work. They end up probably killing each other. And that's what the Tao is saying, that you got to have a balance whatever you do. Just like life. There's life and there's death. And some people, once I think when you learn to don't have no fear, in the sense that you got to know to like understand that everything got its ups and downs, got its ends. If once you understand and appreciate darkness, you will like the light. Same thing with the light and darkness. You gotta have a balance. Somebody that don't like darkness, well, they're really gonna like light, because they have to appreciate both. You gotta have a full understanding of the balance of life. And that's what the Tao is saying, basically what I'm getting out of that. Just have a balance in general.
I'd like to add to what Fang just said regarding balance. Like, you can't appreciate things without having the other. Like, everybody wants to be like, feel pleasure, but they don't want to experience any form of pain. But when you understand that they both come together, you know, you can look at it like, okay, this is pain. There's no way you can go through life without experiencing some form of pain, whether it's physical, mental, spiritual, etc. And then there's, you know, people confuse that with suffering, which that's, pain and suffering are two different things. You know, you can choose to suffer, but pain is just the experience, like, okay, they're past. But to to hold on to it or be attached to it, you know, or be attached to even pleasure, like, oh, you don't ever want it to leave, then when it leaves, you might not experience pain, but you suffer because you choose to. But we understand balance and how things work, like, all right, well, you accept it for what it is. You're not attached to either or.
Yeah, just like I was thinking, if I could consider on this topic, because it's hit home with me, there's a lot of these fighters that don't understand the beauty of real martial art. They get in the ring and they lose. Oh man, I can't lose, I can't stand lose, I want to win, win, win. How the hell are you going to win if you don't appreciate losing? You got to know that when you lost, you get up from there and move on. But some of these cats, when they lose, they can't deal with it. They want to kill themselves. All of a sudden now, they don't feel it worked and they want to kill themselves, they want to do this, they want to do that. Because they don't have a balance. You got, before you can win, you have to lose a couple times. You got to keep striving to move on. Like me when I tore my ACL. I could have been, oh man, you know what, enough of this, I'm out of here. Forget this thing, forget sleeping, forget the school. But, you know, I got to understand, like, it's, you know, come in the territory, you got to reflect on it, I understand it's part of the journey. I mean, it's not to go to the extent, but you're going to have some ups and downs. Just like in a relationship. There's no such perfect relationship without arguments or fighting, or maybe some couple destruction of some properties. But hey, I'm serious. Some female tend to want to scratch up your car, rip your tire up, and do kind of nonsense, destroy your own personal belongings. But you gotta understand, and it's a balance, and understand, hey, this is material stuff. You can reboot from that, and you can move on. No sense for you to get violence and go to jail, then you're really done. You know? And that's when it's God's technique, you gotta have a balance and understand the balance. Gotta understand it.
That chapter reminds me of what I'm trying to do with the school. I'm trying to balance out with yin, yin. And we got a lot of yang here. I'm trying to get more yin. But I can't do it alone. So, you know, thankfully Annette started back. She's a female student that I had at the beginning, and she took off. She was like gone for like 3 years or 2 years, and then now she's back. So she got certified as a yoga teacher, instructor. She's teaching here once a week on Saturdays at 8:30. So we're trying to draw in more women through that yoga, and there's definitely a different energy when she leads the class. I think the school will greatly benefit if we try to merge the yin and the yang, trying to get more women involved in the martial arts. I think it'll show a whole different side of the martial arts, but it's just really hard to get women involved. Until then, you kind of have to find that balance in your own personal life. Like when you're in a relationship with a woman, married or not, or whatever, you're learning a lot about life and martial arts outside of this school that you will apply into your martial journey. And that's going to take you to the next level. It's really hard to find a balance, the proper balance in the school. Doing what I can to do it. Other things that could provide that balance is children, like a children's class is more like lighthearted, and it's a different energy, more of a playful energy, more of a yin energy. But I see women and children to be kind of like that yin aspect of the martial arts that needs to be integrated with the yang, so it just doesn't become too yang, so there's more of a balance. It's going to take time. Hopefully I can build it up to be more balanced. So then it's like, say there's like 50 male students, 50 female students, there's a balance, you know, but if there's like 98 male students and like 2 female students, then it's not really a balance, and that's kind of what's going on now. It's just very much yang. And but even though it's yang, because if you have that yin energy in your personal life and then you bring that into here, then it turns it more yin as well. Like just the way that you approach the training. It's not so ego and competitive, but it's more compassionate and helping, just more yin based. then we do what we can to make it more balanced. But like I said, in here I do my best to try to give you like a little bit of everything when it comes to the training. But I can't do everything. Like in your outside life, you gotta find certain things that will complete the journey or make it more complete. Because there's a lot of stuff you're gonna learn about life and martial arts when you're dealing with the woman that you're dating or whatever. It just changes you. And that's kind of what happened to me in the martial arts. Before I met Jenny, I was like more aggressive, you know, and my martial arts expression was different. But then when I met her, things changed. I became more, you know, like more compassionate and just not as aggressive. But it just came through life experiences. Like if you don't experience it yourself, then it's gonna be hard to understand. You just have to go through it. When you go through it, then you will understand. Like if you never experienced love ever, then it'll be hard to understand how you would live life in love, or whatever the case may be, or knowing what love is. And then you get sucked into this like violent way of being, where it could lead your life down a very dark road, you know. And then sometimes people use the martial arts to perpetuate that, you know. Same thing with guns or whatever, you know, like they just use it for violent purposes and that's it. They don't use it to protect or defend. They just use it for just pure violence. And if you don't experience love from family or whatever, or a loved one or whatever, then you can just keep going down that dark road. And that's not martial arts. It's just like violence, you know. But when you experience something deep, then you know how to use something that can be violent, and you kind of turn it into something positive. Like if you're in a good mood all the time, then you just don't feel like fighting. Even though you can fight, you still don't feel like fighting because you're in a good mood, you know. So if you're always in a good mood, then you never want to fight, even though you train in fighting. So that's what turns it into art.
It's a tough balance, I think, for a lot of people, bringing those two sides together. So my experience is that most, kind of stereotypically, men carry the yang energy, women carry the yin. Most men are afraid of getting in touch with their yin self. I think to some degree women are against the other side, you know, getting in touch with their yang. So coming into a space where society has already labeled martial arts as a violent yang kind of enterprise. Your challenge of what you're trying to build here is a challenge.
Yeah, it got me to think about, because I don't know if you probably don't know, but there's like this recent fight with Rousey and this Nunez woman. And they're fighting like dudes. And I'm like, you got dudes fighting like dudes, now you got women fighting like dudes. It's like, where's the yin? Like, where is it? You know, women aren't even being soft, and men are soft. It's like, where the hell is the yin? It's like, we gotta share that part. I mean, people they know all about the violent stuff. And yeah, we can be violent too. Shoot, you know, I got guns too. You know what I'm saying? But don't mean that that's the way. We still gotta show something else, something different, something softer, more compassionate. And that's the challenge right there. That's why I'm thankful for someone like Annette to be back, and then hopefully we get more women involved where they can represent more of the yin. And you know the yin is powerful. I mean, you know why a lot of people go to the gym. You know what I mean? So there's power in the yin, but you gotta like know how to focus that energy in the proper way.
Going to the gym every day, not getting fit.
You know there's power in the yin, but when Brady goes home, if she say he ain't training, he ain't training. We moving here, okay, we moving there.
Man! Anything to say?
Okay, Ben, what we're gonna work on next